Hey guys, I'm back with another process video, and this is the last layout I'm going to make using my second stash kit, the one that was based on the swag bag from Paper Issues. And I am going to scrapbook a picture of my cousins playing a video game. You'll see in a bit. It's a black and white picture, and I made it black and white because the colors, it was nighttime and the colors in the picture were really just not good, so I turned it into black and white. And I know I wanted to use those black thickers there, which is why I pulled them out and have them over to the side. And since it was my last layout, I had this idea in my head that I wanted to focus more on the blues in the kit, just because I hadn't till this point, and I really like this paper. So I thought I was going to use it as a starting off point for my layout. So I'm trimming down my photo, and I've taken that scrap piece of the start paper, and maybe I thought I could just stick it down there and make a cluster and start backing the photo with papers to make a cluster over there. So the first thing I did was I backed my photo on like a white notebook kind of looking paper thing. I do that a lot on my layouts. It's just the excess from when I cut down my A3 white cardstock into a 12x12. And because it's on a spiral paper pad, that's what you get, that notebook kind of look. So I decided to go through the swag bag before I went through anything else again. And the first thing I came out was this sword paper clip, and I thought it was the cutest to put on here. So I'm going to make it look like the photo and the paper are attached by that sword. And I'm going through and separating out things that I might want to use on this page and things that I know I will not use on this page. So I'm going through the 3x4 cards here, and I'm going to pick out a couple of different ones that I thought would work, and then put the rest away. I don't know which collections those came from. I think there's some Cardabella stuff in there, and probably some Echo Park kind of paper. So the first thing I had in mind was to make this strip with all these cards and kind of use them up. And I really liked the idea of that, but I needed a lot more to fill in the gaps, and I didn't have any more. So I'm going to struggle with this quite a bit before I decide to change it up. So I have that huge castle die cut, which I think is so cute, over on the one side, and then I have the coordinating paper on the other side, so that kind of brings in the colors in both places. And then I have different shades of blue on here, so I think that was also a reason why this wasn't really working. I just couldn't. I really like that really not sky blue, like the bright blue that's in the castle and in that airplane paper, but that blue in that hexagon paper was a bit too distressed or vintage looking. Well, not really vintage looking, more of like a cream looking, and it wasn't matching well with the other stuff, which is why, in addition to the fact that I needed more cards, I think I struggle with using this selection of cards. So I am going to fuss a lot with this design before I decide to kind of switch it up. So then I thought maybe I can do something just on the one side of the page and then have a cluster over to the other side of embellishing, with that castle being the starting off point. And I'm going to kind of go with that for a bit here. I am going to pull out this family piece here in a bit. I'm just going to stick it on my, just like a standard ruler, just so I can move it around and see where I want to place it. And it's going to stay there until the end of the layout, probably. So I thought it would look a really nice pop of black to add that somewhere, and I kind of wanted to add it down there, but because nothing is glued down yet, I didn't want to glue down the sticker. So then I decided I was just really trying to use a star paper, so I decided to kind of back my whole photo with that star paper, and I kind of like it and I kind of don't. I think the problem was that it has a bit of green and navy, and it didn't really, I don't know, it didn't really match. But I was in the in-between phase, and I'm like, maybe this works, maybe this doesn't, so I'm just gonna kind of go with it for a bit while I flip through some more, through some of the papers in my kit, and see if there's anything else I might want to add. Mostly focusing on the blues. I've taken out all of the reds, basically. So then I found this orange piece, and I thought it would work nicely because it kind of brings a bit more orange in, and there is some orange on that like checkered, I guess, or gingham along with all the lines card. So I thought by bringing that orange piece, it would kind of tie everything a bit together, and I do like the orange piece there. And then I also thought that this camera paper will look really cool there behind my photo, but I didn't like it with then I decided that the stars were not working, so I got rid of the stars, and now I'm trying to make this work once again, but it is not going to work. At some point I'm just going to decide to get all of this off the page and start from scratch. Well, not from scratch with the same cards, but I mean from scratch as far as design goes. And I'm going to end up going to more of like a go-to kind of thing for me in the end. So here I'm playing around with where I want to place that title. If I want to bring the castle over to this side, then I thought maybe I could do something, have the page going down vertically as opposed to horizontally. So I'm going to switch the cards over here just a bit and see if I want to do that. And at this point, I'm like starting to feel like this layout is not going to turn out. I'm going to have to like stop the recording, put everything away, and just start something else from the beginning. But I kind of pressed through, and I'm glad I did because I do like how it turns out in the end. See how that weird blue card with the hexagon just doesn't really look, it looks misplaced on the page. And I'm going to get rid of it in just a bit. So here I'm going back in with that family word, and I thought maybe, so this is really when I went off the deep end. I know I keep saying that, but I think this is like the ultimate know what is happening to me with this layout point in the process, is when I started adding this prism stuff, and it did not match whatsoever. It just looked bad, very, very bad. So I'm just going to get rid of everything here. I'm just gonna keep these 3 cards. I thought maybe I could try some sort of new design, but no, that's not working. And I'm gonna go to my standard, back the photo with all these cards like I normally do, and have another layer, so have the big photo cluster and then also have an embellishment cluster over to the side. And I really like how this is going to turn out. It's not exactly how I would normally do it. You'll see here in just a bit when I add this huge chunk of yellow paper. So of course the background was still very, very white, but I don't know, I wasn't in the mood to add any paint. So I went through my pattern papers again, and I stumbled upon this yellow one, which I've been using in the past 3 layouts I made with this kit. And I thought I just could put like a big chunk of it under the photo cluster, and then the rest of it I could put over into the embellishment cluster just to add a bit more interest to the page. So that one I'm going to put down there, and now I have the yellow in both places. I have that castle pattern that obviously has the same colors in both places because of that gigantic die cut. And then I'm going to bring in this orange paper because there's a bit of orange in the card in the photo cluster, but no orange over in this cluster, so I am going to use that over there. And then I still felt like I needed to back the layout on something, or like ink the edges, or I don't know what, because it still felt very plain. So I thought about adding that star paper, then I of course decided against it. And I did bring out my paints, but I'm not going to use them for the time being. I will use them in a bit. First, I'm going to go through all the die cuts that I had included in the kit and see if there's anything else that I might want to add. I don't think I add anything else from the die cuts. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I did find another piece of this orange paper, which I'm going to stick next to the other one over there. And I'm going through some other embellishments. I'm going to bring out this chipboard, all these words and stuff. And I am going to I'm just going through and reading the phrases and maybe things that I might want to use or something. But before I add any stickers on here, I know I have to glue down all this paper because then everything will be moving around and I will get very annoyed. So I'm going to take some time and glue all of this down onto the page with some double-sided adhesive, tape in just a minute. Now, before I glued everything down, I did go ahead and take my scissors to distress all of the edges of this all of the papers that I'm using. I know there's like a distress tool or something by Tim Holtz, but I don't have that. I'm just using a scissors and it works fine. So I'm going to distress all the papers, all the cards, even that castle die cut in just a bit before I glue everything down. So now most of it's glued down. I'm going to distress this castle very, very carefully because I don't want that to rip, because then it will lose its shape. I just want the edges to be a bit distressed. And I'm not sure if you can really tell by the end of the layout that the papers are distressed, but I kind of liked how they looked when I was doing it. So gluing down that castle. And next come the paints. I did do this technique in my last video as well, the last layout with this kit anyways. And I'm going to just take my paintbrush and add the tiniest bit of acrylic paint and kind of make a border on my layout. So I'm going to do 2 sides in the blue color and then 2 sides in the green color, and these are both by both acrylics are from Pebeo. And the green that my sister has, because these technically aren't mine, I borrowed them from my sister. She accidentally, I think it was accidental anyway, bought the iridescent one. So the blue one is matte and the green one is iridescent, but that's okay. I still like the color, so I just went with it. And see how that just adds a little something to the page? It just grounds it a bit more. And I really like doing this technique. I think I'm gonna be doing it for a couple more layouts at least. And then I'm going to add a tiny bit of blue at the top and a tiny bit of green at the bottom, just to kind of bring in the colors on all sides. And now I'm going to finally add this word that says family down over here in this cluster. There's not really a lot of embellishing on this page. It just, I don't know. So now I'm pulling out a few pieces from this family chipboard set, and one of them is all of us, because it's all of the grandchildren, I guess. Well, I'm taking the picture, but you can see all 5 of the small kids and then my sister's feet over there. So I thought maybe all of us would look nice, and it's black, so brought in a bold black accent over to the photo cluster to kind of balance out the black title. But the bronze, there's like a bronze glitter, not bronze, I don't know who says bronze, like a copper glitter on that, so it's not gonna stay there. I did play around with adding some wood buttons, and I do like how those look, but I'm just gonna end up using one because I'm gonna add a couple of these stars in. So I wanted to add a couple of these in various places, but I'm gonna fuss with which places I want to add them in. And I'm also gonna really try to use that chipboard piece, just because I really wanted to use that chipboard set on at least one of my layouts, but it's not gonna work, and that's okay. So I'm gonna add one of these stars somewhere about there, and then I'm going to add the other one where that circle chipboard piece is at the moment. And I tried to add it in other places, but it just felt more natural there it just made a nicer triangle, I guess. I don't know. It just looked better to me there. And I'm still trying to add that other piece somewhere, but it's not working. So yeah. And then I am going to kind of fill in my title just by adding, making the word family kind of become to family video game. It's not really a family video game. I just meant that the video game they were playing was like the whole family was playing it. But anyway, I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to spell that word out using these simple stories. Green words. Green letters. These letters, I don't know what happened to them. I don't know if it's because they're old or something, but they weren't cut exactly, and the sticky wasn't working, so the printed part of the letter would come off from the adhesive backing, and it just gave me a very hard time to spell out that word. I don't think it's the manufacturer. I don't think it happens to all Simple Story sticker sheets. I do have another one in pink, which I just used a couple minutes ago, and it worked fine. So maybe it's just this one sheet. I don't know. So I'm going to spell the word video game under the word family, kind of nestles between the drop of the F and the Y, and I really like how that looks. And then just because I wanted to add a bit of green to the other cluster, I'm going to add the word #addicts, which is kind of controversial. Anyway. And then I was planning to do my journaling just on the top and bottom of that yellow piece, but I'm going to end up kind of outlining the whole thing in journaling, and I really like how that looks. And I'm just writing there how I arrived at my uncle's house for his birthday dinner or whatever, and I saw all of my cousins sitting there in front of a TV while one of them was playing the game and the others were just watching, and I just thought it was hilarious. So anyway, I'm just kind of journaling about that, and then I'm also going to outline the other cluster with just like a line using that same black pen. I don't know, just because I felt like I needed to. I think that's about going to complete the layout. I am going to add some splatter with my acrylic inks, again by Pebeo. And I'm just going to add some splatter with my white ink first, and just kind of add some big dollops of paint. And then I have this turquoise one. The colored ones are really pigmented, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to add it on here, but I kind of tested it out and I am gonna add it on here. I don't know if maybe I shouldn't have done that, but it's done. So thank you guys so much for watching. Pictures will be over on Instagram, and I will see you guys tomorrow.